We're on. Okay. Good morning. I officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, November 17th. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Zoller will lead us with a prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful autumn day that we have here. And if we could just take a moment of silence for the terrorist attack in Paris and how terrible that is. Dear Lord, we thank you for all the graces that you've given us, and please give us the wisdom to make good decisions for the people of Seneca County. In your name, amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Of the signing of the journal, and I'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording from our previous board session, which was Tuesday, November 10th, and the index of that meeting.
So seconded.
Motion a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Thank you. All right, do we have any adjustments to the agenda? Anything that's not on the printed agenda before us from anyone? Okay, seeing none. First thing we had scheduled was to speak with Beth. So Beth, you're up. You go first before we get into all the other fun stuff.
So I wanted to introduce myself first of all. I am Beth Deesh, and I am Fred.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Ladies, thank you for helping me get here. Nikki and Stacy too. I'm Beth Deesh from the Soil and Water Conservation District in Seneca County here. I have been named the interim administrator for our district right now due to the loss of Tia. And the first thing I want to say is thank you for that memorial contribution from your office and each of you individually, and all of your support through all of this has been tremendous. So with that, we've been conducting business at our office without her. We will continue doing that. That was the type of organization that she had built and wanted us to maintain. So I'm here because it's budget time, and I wanted to chat with you a little bit about some of the things that we've done this year, and then kind of look ahead to what we want to do in 2016 and have that conversation with you about why we needed to chat. So we do provide service to our residents. We have focused on the farm, homes, and schools within the last year instead of saying we're just serving everybody. That's been our strategic move, and it's gone really well for us. It helps us to categorize and help the farmers, help the homeowners, and help the teachers without burdening the farmers with the teacher's information and the homeowners with the teacher or the farmer's information. And so with that being said, we have still gone with the big picture of conserving natural resources in Seneca County. That's what we're here for. That's our service to Seneca County, is helping them make those wise decisions and using it appropriately. In all of that, we are operating with county funds and state funds and some grant funds, and so we do that as prudently as possible, as responsibly as possible. And we start here in Seneca County with local general funds, but then we take those funds and leverage them pretty effectively, I must say, to get some additional state dollars and additional grant dollars, as well as additional local monies and things from there. So I just wanted to talk about those numbers real quick. This is a resume that we did up for a future project. And you can read over the rest of it at your leisure, but the highlighted numbers at the bottom talk about some of the economic bang that we've brought into the county. The 40,000 tons of soil, that was a project that we paid cost share out to landowners in the county to reduce their soil entering Lake Erie, because ultimately it costs a lot of money to dredge Lake Erie. And so by saving it here in Seneca County, we were able to keep it out of the lake, and therefore the grant money stayed here in Seneca County. That 40,000 tons was a 3-year project. That's a huge number of tons of soil that we don't have to move out of Lake Erie. In addition to that 40,000 tons and a couple of other projects, we paid out $728,000. That's cash out to direct landowners in Seneca County for grant commitment work. Whether that was planting cover crops, whether that was installing water control structures and trying to maintain some of their drainage, whether that was building manure storage structures. That's all local dollars that we brought in for grants and pushed back out through our office directly to individuals in the county. We've already secured another $876,000 in payments to go out to our landowners for the next 3 years, due to the grants that we've been successful at re-enrolling them or reapplying for other monies. Those are promised contributed dollars here. One other thing our office does is help with the federal Farm Bill programs, not the direct payments that the Farm Service Agency works with. That's not us. We work with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which does all of the federal conservation Farm Bill programs. And that program, between what we call the EQIP program and the CSP program, paid out over $1 million to Seneca County landowners in 2014's 15's fiscal year. And our office helps with that technical assistance, helps the farmer get through the paperwork, helps the farmer design those practices, and works from there. Those are just some economic dollars there. We also do the tree seedling sales. We work with a lot of acres in the county to make sure that the manure is applied responsibly in response to the Lake Erie issues. We've been doing that all along. So we know that actually manure isn't one of the bigger issues in Lake Erie. There are issues there, but we're going to continue to work with our landowners so that they have that as well. Cover crops, education, all of those pieces are part of what we do as well. That was 2015. We also do some wildlife management in our office. We have a wildlife coordinator who gets a lot done for that. We do have also a fiscal manager that makes sure that our audits are always clean. Our grant reporting information is always good. We are a credible, solid funder, not only here with the county, but also within our funders at the state and federal level that we work with grants on. So of all of that, I know Tia would stand here and say she was very proud to be here, and I can say the same because we are proud to be here. We do take a lot of responsibility and pride in delivering good things to our county. Looking ahead to 2016, we still have some big issues ahead of us. Number one, the algae blooms that are happening in Lake Erie. Right now, everything is voluntary, and that's the way I think we all want to keep it. I know the farmers want to keep it that way, and that's what we've been trying to do through our office, is help them in every way possible with this voluntary effort. That takes a lot of time and a lot of resources to build those relationships and to help them make those changes voluntarily that need to be made, so that we don't have that regulatory authority or that regulatory body coming in and saying, you now have to do this, or here's your set of fines. That's not where we want to go with this problem. We want to solve the problem, but not in that way. The second issue that seems to be coming up a lot is pipelines. We are a transit area, and we have one for sure that's coming through, and there are 4 or 5 more on the books. We're right in the middle ground for transporting, and so again, due to our landowner responsibility and the county's responsibility, we are going to have to let those pipelines come through. It's a matter to us whether we let them come through in a positive impact or with a negative impact. We feel that if we were out in the field more and if we had more connections to our landowners in the pipeline area, that we would be able to help them get a more positive impact. We can rebuild the soil faster, we can protect the soil that we have. We're not talking about a small pipeline coming through. The one that's coming through are 2 pipelines side by side in a huge impact zone, and they go right through the county. So again, we don't have any authority to tell the pipeline yes or no, but we can definitely work with Mr. Smith and Mr. Miller to make sure that the pipeline is doing them right and that their soil bounces back after that pipeline comes through. The third thing that we really want to help work on is the new legislation that's called Senate Bill 1. that was passed in July. It was passed before July. It went into effect in July. It was the legislation's response to the Lake Erie algae blooms. And they limited manure application as well as fertilizer application. And they set a new set of standards there for people within Ohio that are draining to Lake Erie to have to follow. And so that is going to be a big impact on our producers here in Seneca County, because they're not going to be able to apply during the winter, and they're going to have to track and apply based on the weather as well. And that's a huge education effort, as well as helping them do the right things and building or preparing for those changes. Some of the guys need to build more manure storage structures, and we're helping with those engineering plans and those costs through some of the grant dollars that are coming in. Some of them need to revamp their management plans, and they need to apply fertilizer at a different time in their cropping rotations. And again, we're consulting with them and trying to help them make those better decisions for the lake, but not impact their bottom dollar either. So with those three things really coming up, we feel like another full-time technician is what we need. We would like to ask for additional money on our floodplain commitment with you guys. That was put in place in 2010. In 2010, we agreed to take over those responsibilities for the county, and it was an exchange of $10,000 to get that done. And it's been that amount ever since we started. And so I'd like to ask for additional 5 there, so that we can begin to train this new person in taking that over. And we've done more work. I know the airport issue has been one of the ones that we've worked really closely with here recently. And those are things that we don't want to get into problems, and so it's much easier to just spend the time out there in the county when we're doing it and not let problems become problems. And with an additional person doing that, that would be very prudent to keep that program happening. Then we'd like to ask for $15,000 more on the general line, so that we can, again, pay salary and benefits for a full-time person. Now, if you do the math, that's a $20,000 increase that we're asking for. That doesn't pay for a full-time person very well, if you know what going rates and benefits are, right? However, that's where our leveraging comes in. If you would give us the additional 20, then we can match that at the state level for an additional 14.5. That's how the soil and water conservation districts around the state of Ohio are funded. We get part of the money from the county, and then the state can match that money. But the state doesn't give us the money if we don't get the local money. So after that 14.5 comes in, then we also know that we have an additional $8,000 that will be coming from the Senate Bill 1 initiative, again, to do that regulatory and education piece of the new fertilizer and manure. So you add those 3 numbers up, I come up with 42, and that gets me right in the ballpark of where I need to bring in a new technician to train them and get them to be part of the county and move ahead in the organization. I think that you'll see that it fits in our big plan. It's not like I'm here brand new today. I do know that Tia had it on her calendar in October to come visit with you guys, and she wasn't able to make it. Since then, we've only been doing what we absolutely had to do with the vision, knowing we're going to have to expand or we're going to have to reduce our services, and that's not the way we wanted to do it. And was speaking with the staff this week, and one of the guys said to me, Tia told me I was never allowed to say no, because we want to serve everybody here. And that's our attitude, that's our atmosphere, but we are all taxed heavily in our workloads right now. So I feel like by adding this new person in, and the board feels that way, and the staff feels that way, that it would really take our big picture to the next level of service for the county. 80% of Seneca County is farmland. It is rural area and acreage, and that 80% is who would be being directly served by this technician. So I just appreciate your time this morning. I was going to leave you a notepad. This is one of the smaller grant projects that we worked on with education and outreach. You might have seen some billboards up, and those dollars are the things that we're going to keep looking at and using, but if we don't have the staff here to implement those types of things, that's why we didn't ask for any additional expenses and equipments or service equipments or supplies, because we anticipate continuing to leverage funds within smaller grants and things that we do, but we need that person here to be able to designate that workload to them, and then we can leverage it better. Any questions or anything I didn't cover clearly?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Please.
First of all, thank you for stepping in and taking this ball at this point. I know it's difficult for everybody, so God bless all of you.
Thank you.
Secondly, though, from a practical standpoint, we have a director's position that now is available, I guess. You are the interim director, is that what I understand?
Correct.
What is the plan
Sure.
going forward regarding a director?
Good. So the board has talked about this in depth, however, not as in depth as they need to. What happens is that Tia was with us for 12 years. The amount of institutional knowledge that she had is irreplaceable. And so we all sat back and looked and said we couldn't bring anyone in these doors that would do anything justice to what she has done. So that being said, we do know there's a lot to lose. So we decided within that we were a strong team, we wanted to see this continue, we would step into however we needed to. So our plan is to get through a year without an interim at this point, or with only an interim, without a full-time director.
I want to say only.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do. It has been a true team effort, though, and so we anticipate going through that with a year. We have dates scheduled in February where we will all be sitting down at a strategic meeting for 3 days, dividing job descriptions, figuring out the future direction, and figuring out how best to keep our organization moving forward.
Then, from a fiscal standpoint,
Correct.
you know, just think numbers sometimes.
Absolutely.
It's subjective, but we are not replacing the director. So we have a salary for next year that will go unnecessarily filled. I mean, I would assume people are getting paid a little bit more for stepping up and doing what they're supposed to do.
They are not getting paid extra right now, Mike. That's not how we're doing it. We anticipate taking that year, but having the flexibility within that year to name it sooner rather than later. So we are going to continue to maintain, we would like, in your agreeance, to maintain that salary at a lower rate, first of all, because we do know, because of Tia's experience and time, we
Right.
would not bring someone on at the same level that she was at. So in our big picture, we did lower that number.
Okay. My point, I guess, is that as the year goes on and that position is not filled, the accrual of that salary would be at least enough to cover what you're talking about here, and probably significant or somewhat more than that. So when we ask for a budget increase of, again, from a practical standpoint,
Sure.
of 18,000 or whatever that number is.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, 20,000 from us. Would that probably not be picked up by the lack of accrual of the salary of an executive director? One less person?
It could be. However, we knew going into the workload that we were having that we needed an additional person to cover that workload.
Okay.
So I think salary-wise it could be picked up, but as far as workload and organizational-wise,
Oh, I get that. You'd have to
that's
have-
where we're
you'd have to
not.
have a body there. Okay. All right.
so our hesitation was in, instead of just swapping it and having this conversation with you guys, that then when we come back in another year and we do need to bring on a higher salary than a $42,000 salary, then we're really looking at a big increase and really looking at a problem that started a year and a half ago and we could have communicated out. And so if we choose to do that, Mike, that's fine, we can, but know that in a year or less, the board is going to come and say, now we're ready to divide this, or we need to figure out how to keep the administration in line, and we'll be having another
So
conversation.
my question then is, you know, we say, okay, $20,000, that makes sense, we'll go. You will then accrue that salary that would have been for the executive director in anticipation of a new executive director down the road?
That's up to you guys. I'm flexible, the board is flexible. If you would, okay, so here's the way it works at the state level. Whatever dollars you give us locally by January can then get matched at the state level. So if you hold back that $18,000 that we would have accrued, we won't get that additional match on it, which is about 75% match. That's my only hesitation. So, you know, we would be losing here, we would be losing there.
Got it.
But at the same time, I understand fiscally responsibility. It doesn't make sense to us sit here and hold it and then in a year come back and say, oh, now we're ready to spend it, when you guys could have used it somewhere else. So we could talk deeper if we needed to make that happen, Mike. Our plan was to know that for a year's budget, we do anticipate hiring that administrative person within the year.
It's unfortunate we need to have this conversation.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
But it's taken us a number of months to get here. That's why we're at where we're at, and so thank you for your patience and helping me through this as well.
And is there some state money that's specifically for that director position?
There is not,
Okay.
but it would be matchable at the same level of all of the other funds that you do give us. So
Beth, in definition, this technician you're looking to, this would be somebody with feet on the ground.
Indeed.
It's gonna be also, right now, do you have 2 technicians?
we do.
That's Joe and
Jason.
Jason, okay,
Correct.
so that's the position you're looking at expanding on.
And if you know Joe and Jason, they both have over 10 years of experience. So we feel really adequate, like bringing in a green person at a much lower pay rate would be very perfect for them to start training and start turning over the organization's workload in the future too. Joe is paid about 85% of his time, 75% of his time is actually paid through the ditch maintenance program. So he's not on the county's salary line and the things there. His time is paid through maintaining those county ditches. So even though he's there in full person and does a lot of the work, really he's only doing 15% of this district work that is designing and working with the landowners that way, because his time is already tied up on the ground with ditch maintenance.
So that I just summarize the whole thing.
Sure.
You're asking for 20,000 from us to increase your budget, and that will bring in another 20,000, roughly speaking, of state funds.
Right.
And that gives roughly that 40,000 you're talking about
Correct.
to bring on that position. While for the coming months, there's gonna be less taxing on the budget because there's not a director, only an interim director there.
Right.
But by the end of the year, you hope to have that position filled. I'm trying to get this,
You're right.
summarize it here. So let me ask you, if there's funds left in at the end of the year in the soil and water, what gets done to that?
Well, we try to budget as best as we can, but this is my first year too. I have to be honest to say that. So I know that we have been looking at some expense lines that we've held off on through the year, and I know that Dawn is my administrative assistant. Dawn is my numbers person who is trying to get us there right now, Fred. So I don't have a good answer. I would be happy to come back with a better answer, but we don't carry over the county funds and ask more than what we need. If there is carryover, it's usually grant dollars, or it's usually a supply line from those grant dollars that we do. Our numbers to you guys is truly salary numbers, not new cars and new vehicles and new copy machines and things like that. So last year we got 140,000 from you. That was your investment in us, and we take that 140 and match it with another 75% from the state, as well as another at least 75% in grant dollars. Right now, our overall district budget is a third from you guys, a third from the state, and a third from additional grant dollars.
And you have submitted this budget to Stacy for review as part of our overall review?
I haven't submitted it officially, but we've sat down together and looked at it. She's talked me through what I need to present to her, technically, and I think, fingers crossed, I'll have it entered and ready to go to you guys for December 1. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Beth.
Back to the top of our agenda here under old business. First thing it listed was the Justice Center.
Didn't know if you wanted to give an update from last week's meeting.
Yeah, I guess I can. We made the decision in that meeting after reviewing the evaluation materials from the interviews on the construction managers at risk to go into negotiations with Gilbane
Okay.
Construction. So that is underway, or will get underway. The negotiations with the architect are underway. Those negotiations are underway. So that is happening. Let's see, our next meeting is set for,
We have
one
one
on the 20th?
We have one on the 20th.
One on the 20th, so that's Friday.
Mhm.
And we are at the municipal building at
10:30.
10:30? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. 'Cause that's really it for now on that stuff. If there's any questions? Okay. Regional planning. I wanted to get regional planning, or put regional planning on this agenda so we had an opportunity as a board to have some discussions. Regional planning's overall purpose of doing planning development on purposes of economic development, or subdivision regulations and those kinds of things are responsibilities they carry out. Then specifically, we have some tasks that we ask regional planning to do, or it has been the history for several years, to do for the county. And one is we hold a contract with them to do the sewer, to manage the sewer district, and the billing and the invoicing and all of that things with the sewer district. And then our CDBG and our CHIP program, Community Development Block Grant, and the CHIP program, Community Housing Improvement Plan, which are both state grant programs, without a contract, but that they do those things for admin fees with us. There's been a few things recently. It started at the beginning of the year with the sewer district concerns and issues in the performance of those administrative management functions. And to this point in time, in the 11th month of the year, I'd have to say that I know I'm not satisfied with all things with that. There's been an improvement. But the main thing coming, because I can't not mention the other two things that, again, that are things that they carry out for us on behalf of Seneca County, our program as a whole, and the CDBG, and the CHIP program. And most recently, the CHIP program, I'm continuing to see a performance level that I'm not happy with. And I just wanted to make sure I shared that here. We have no contract regarding CHIP and CDBG with regional planning. We do with the sewer district. And we're kind of at a crucial point of making sure we are all aware of those things and share our opinions because of there being a contract. And I have had discussions with the county prosecutor's office, what that contract looks like, and if we desire to make a change to that, we can do that. But that's requires a 30-day out. And I mean, it is a 3-year contract, and we're not at the end of the contract, but there is an out. So I just thought we have to have that discussion here in order to make those decisions somewhere in the future, in the near future, if that's of interest. I don't know if it is, but there are performance issues that that board, meaning the regional planning board, is going to have to, that's their bailiwick to deal with. But these are services that I think are suffering.
Of course, as you know, that, regional planning is not directly, we're not in charge of regional planning. They have their own executive board and so forth. We just use them under contractual situations there. And I know that I've had some concerns with that department, and have made some inquiries, and quite frankly have not got the response that I was hoping to get. So I certainly can mimic your concerns on the performance in regional planning. I think we need to seriously look at what we have, what the county has contractually with regional planning. And whatever regional planning, their board does, they're separate from us here.
Well, from my standpoint, Commissioner Stacy, the fact is that any time in this short period of time that I've been here, 11 months, that I've seen anything regarding regional planning, it's been a matter of concern. There have been, from Ohio Department of Development on the CDBG money, there have been in excess of 10 letters pointing out the fact that either administration has not been done properly, or review of audits have not been conducted in a timely fashion. We have had a number of conversations with elected officials that are responsible for the sewer program, and they have not been satisfied with the way it's been administered. As I understand it, at least I think I do, is that one of the responsibilities, and one of the main responsibilities of regional planning, is to look for and apply for grants for the county whenever they become available. And it is my understanding also that over the past 12 months, we have not applied for a single grant that would assist the county. So, what you hope for from an office like this is a positive input and conversations regarding good things that are happening, And what we've got is a situation in which every time we touch the subject of regional planning, it's a matter of concern. And how do we resolve it? The latest of which has been the CHIP program that wasn't properly reviewed and wasn't properly administered by our part from the county standpoint. I believe that to be true. So I also share your concerns and think that we certainly need to consider what it is we can do to make certain that grants that are available are applied for and that grants that we have existing are administered properly.
All right. Well, like I said, I just thought we ought to have these discussions if anybody wants to look into anything else further, and, you know, we can go from there. But I just, like I said, the CHIP stuff was the stuff that came to light last week. And like I said, we're step back and take an overall view. You know, these are important programs to bring money into, state monies in, to take care of needs that they address for the communities and for residents, the housing program. And I don't want to jeopardize those, and we'll probably get through, but that hesitation and like I said, so forth, that concerns me greatly on where we're putting those responsibilities, and I think we have to look at that, so.
If I can make a suggestion, I would think that the coming week, that each of us individually investigate the performance of that department, and then maybe come back next week with some recommendations.
Okay, that works. Okay.
Well, I mean, just with the covenant, the only covenant that I will place on that is that, as Commissioners overstated earlier, we are not the overriding authority for regional planning. We are the funder, we have the power of the purse, but we do not, hire, fire, correct, we don't review performance. We are simply a body that provides some funding for that specific office. So the responsibility to take action regarding what the activities in that office are those of the Board of Directors of Regional Planning. And we can say that we don't feel comfortable with the funding, and then they have to make a decision based on that. But we're not gonna make any decision regarding the fate of regional planning, other than.
No, other than the services that we ask them to do for us, and we're
Right.
not happy with the job we're getting on the services, then
Yeah,
we have to decide how we're
that's the
gonna
only
handle
point.
those.
The only point I wanna make is that we don't have the control. We can fund it or not fund it, but we don't have the control.
Yeah, what we do have control is what we have a contract with regional planning,
Yeah,
which, in those things, we can review those, and again, we do control the purse strings of those things, and if we decide we wanna renew the contract, or as Commissioner Stacy said, we have a 30-day out, that if we elect it, we don't wanna do that. So again, I think what we need to individually do is to do our own research and come back and make some recommendations next week. Again, not to the future of regional planning, that's not our call. But
Just our
if we're gonna continue to renew the contract and have them continue to do services for us, then we take it from there. What regional planning does in their board is their baby. Enough said.
Okay. All right, we'll move into new business. First thing listed is Family and Children First Council. Is there a resolution we need to look at for them?
Yeah, we got Sharon George had sent Mike and I both an email regarding a subcommittee to discuss the Healthier Buckeye Council, and they're interested in moving forward to create this. It's their understanding that in order to apply for funding, we have to pass a resolution naming them the Healthier Buckeye Council of Seneca County. So it just helps them with that. And then the other thing that they're doing is the Children's Trust Fund regionalization. And with that, it's a bill that came out, and it's 8 regional prevention coordinators of the Ohio Children's Trust Fund. And what they're going to need from us is a letter to appoint 2 members to represent the Regional Prevention Council. Sharon George said she would like to sit on it, as well as Kathy Oliver. So I will get those letters together for you guys if you want me to do so that they can sit on that.
Sure. That's a committee you sit on, Family and Children First
Yes.
overall. So
yes.
any additional comments, or we can pass the resolution on the
What's the timing of the resolution need? Should we pass it today? Do we have it written?
Yeah, yep, I got it down.
We do?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Well, we can take care of that one now before we.
Okay. I have a resolution naming the Family and Children First Council as the Healthier Buckeye Council of Seneca County.
I would so move.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. The resolution as stated to have the Family and Children First Council as the Healthier Buckeye Council of Seneca County. Any comments or concerns? Okay, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes, approved. Thanks. Yes, and they'll bring forth letters with the recommendation of the names.
Yep, I'm just waiting on some more information and we'll get those ready to send out, because I have to have them out by the 30th, so.
Okay. That works, okay. Next item listed under new business, before we get into the resolutions, is inmate housing from other counties. I was approached by a phone call by Sandusky County, who was sending a fair number of people our way, and we're housing in our jail facilities, and maybe a little sticker shock, I'm guessing, on their latest bill of October, only because of the number of inmates that they're sending over. But they had over a $48,000 bill. But, so they just wondered if we, entertain or think about anything different with the rate, et cetera. After talking to Sheriff Huckleberry yesterday, he outlined the fact that it's been the same rate for 10 years. It is exactly the same rate, it's $58 a day, that the immigration program, ICE program, also charges. So it concerns him a little bit to be fluctuating the rate with one county or one entity versus another one. It's been the same, it's been the same for so long. So that was his information on it. He did share with me the numbers since July, like in July, it's various because, it's not check-in on Monday and check-out on Friday for everybody, it's various days. But in July, they had 9 people at various days and hours, and their bill was $2,494. In August, it went up to 25, September to 24,900, and in October, and again, that's also an increase in number of days and people. In October, they had 35 people with various number of days, and their bill was $48,372. So, yes, it has been an increase in cost to them, but again, they're using the services. So I just had told the commissioner that I would, he asked when we met again, I said Tuesday, and he said, well, would you please share it with them that we would like to work out a way to do something to save on this, but again, I don't know how you do that because, it's hard to do a buy two, get one free or anything like that when you've got various hours and time being done. So I did, like I said, I got a little bit of history, and if anybody wants that Sheriff Huckleberry sent me yesterday.
What alternatives do they have?
They didn't present any, they just wondered about negotiating it down a little bit if that was a possibility.
If I could throw it out just if we're charging the same as what we did for ICE, there was a tremendous amount of transportation involved. I believe a lot was going up to Cleveland and so forth. And I just wonder if the sheriff, in my mind, he's the deciding factor here, but being cognizant of Sandusky County's cost and issue here, if they want to handle the transportation issue,
They do.
they already
They
do.
do, yeah, we don't get paid any transportation unless we did it, but it's significantly cheaper for them transportation-wise versus where they were going, which I believe, don't quote me on that, was Medina.
Well, plus we got.
So they know they're saving in their transportation and their time there.
We got reimbursed for transportation for ICE.
And ICE,
The
we get,
$58
That
a day
was-
is, $58 a day is just a per diem for jail, period.
yes, yeah.
Then it's,
Yeah, so they realize they're saving on the transportation in their own transportation dollars, because we're obviously significantly closer than their other alternatives.
10% off your next sentence, maybe, I don't know.
Not to make light of
I
it,
like
but,
the 2 for 1 thing. Give them a 2-fer.
but I just, like I said,
BOGO.
and that's what Bill said, Sheriff Huckleberry indicated, it gets very complicated when we start to figure out a way to do that, because it's the individual people and everybody's got a different.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I empathize with Sandusky County. I mean, expenses are just that. We all have to deal with them. And I appreciate the fact that they're trying to be prudent with their money as well. But, $58 since, how long you say?
10 years.
10 years, yeah.
I mean, the first thing I think of is, well, maybe somebody ought to adjust that for cost of living. But I
still think that obviously it's fair. $58 a day is a pretty cheap hotel room.
So, okay, that was that information. Consider that, I will communicate back with him. And tell him we have the discussions and see if he wants to do anything. All right, bill vouchers, it's next on the list.
Okay, we got bill vouchers number 8262. I have a resolution establishing the FY 2016 impaired driving enforcement program and the selective traffic enforcement program, two different funds. There's a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $1,580 from professional services to salaries, $3.29 from, this will be the salaries on the coroner's line from his, they call it a staff, he only has one staff, to his salary line. He's moving some money around to get his 27th pay. Keeps coming back to haunt us. Getting his 27th pay in line for that. So that's what these are for. Additional $100 from salaries to PRS. Total moved $1,683.29. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the general fund, putting $16,265.63 into the transfers out. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $150,000 from contingencies to our transfers out. This is that portion of contingencies we talked about last week for the
Ambulance for the
monitors.
monitors.
So that's what these are for. This one including resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the EMS fund, moving a total of $166,265.63. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the ambulance service fund, putting that amount, $166,265.63, into the equipment line. We have an appropriation adjustment within the M&R fund, moving $2,000 from their land line to their pipeline. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the 2015 County Road 10, County Road 35, County Road 61 paving project, moving $20,000 from their contract projects to their paving line. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Selective Driving Enforcement Program Fund, putting $2,500 into salaries, $47.50 into Medicare, $452.50 into PRS, total of $3,000. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Sheriff's Community Correction Grant Fund, putting $150.76 into their transfers out. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Sheriff's Highway Safety Grant Fund, putting $1,070.93 into their transfers out. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Community Corrections Grant Fund, putting $77.61 into their transfers out. The sheriff's cleaning up his funds at the end of the year. Supplement to the permanent appropriations for the SFY Community Corrections Fund, putting $274.57 into their transfers out. A supplement to the permanent appropriations for the SFY, it says 06, is that correct? Is it 06 or is it supposed to be 16?
I'm guessing it should be 16.
Okay. It references it twice, so maybe this is just one that has never been closed. Community Corrections Grant Fund, putting $465.49 into their transfers outline. And I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the general fund. All of those amounts totaling $2,039.36 from those various funds to the general fund. Resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the Impaired Driving Enforcement Fund Program, putting $5,000 from the general fund to that fund. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the 16 Impaired Traffic Enforcement Program Fund, putting $4,173 into salaries, $60.50 for Medicare, $766.50 for PRS, total of $5,000. We have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $320 from contract services to domestic relations salaries, $92.45 from contract services to Medicare, and $1,154.06 from contract services to PRS. Total moved $1,566.51. I have resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program in the amount of $3,000. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations from the Dog and Kennel Fund, putting $3,525 into her equipment line. And I have one extra resolution authorizing the amendment with Lifestar Billing for ambulance billing services on behalf of Seneca County EMS. Since we're going to the EMS charting, electronic charting, Lifestar's allowed us to reduce our fees from $13 a chart to $10 a chart, saving us a little bit on their contract. So. And that's all I have.
That's a mouthful.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion is second for the resolutions as presented. Is there any comments or questions on anything? It's a bunch of stuff. Okay. Seeing none, call roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes. All approved. Thank you. This leads us to an
I
opportunity.
know it's a lot of work, Fred, but take a deep breath.
No further business. This will lead us to an opportunity for citizens' comments. At this time, do we have anybody who wishes to make comments to the board? All right. And seeing none, a motion to adjourn?
Well, wait, something I forgot to mention, if my fellow commissioners, we talked about the revolving loan fund, and we are having a meeting, is it Thursday or
Thursday
Wednesday?
at 11 to 1.
Yes, that we've actually invited the individual from the state to come down, and we have formed a new board, and it's gonna inform the board on what we need to do and so forth. What's the matter, am I doing some-
Forming.
What?
We're forming.
We're forming,
That's just laughing
forming,
'cause you
okay.
sneezed.
Well, yeah, we haven't, yeah. We have to bring that board back to this board for approval and so forth. I love government. But my fellow, we're not gonna make any decisions that day. My fellow commissioners, if they would care to learn more about the revolving loan fund, which we hope by the direction of Commissioner Kirschner, which I absolutely support, that if we could be more involved in the community for those businesses and individuals that are looking for funds that they can't get through conventional financing. And I think it's a great opportunity. So the long and short of it is they're gonna come and explain in detail how the whole thing works. And if you, any of the fellow board, my commissioners would care to sit in on that for information only.
That was for you, William.
All right.
Said, did I stick my foot in my mouth there?
Nope, you're good.
No, you're fine. All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second it.
Motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. It is 10:48. We'll stand adjourned.